Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Supershow. Today's episode, we are going to start off by focusing on the 2019 SRG Awards. So every year, at least since I've been in the game, they have given awards for things like Best Mic Skills, Best Feud of the Year, Player of the Year, Jobber of the Year, Breakout Star, etc., etc. And I say it's like I've been in the game a long time. This is the second year I've covered these awards. But this is the 2019 SRG Awards as provided. The list I'm going to be going through is the list provided by the LFF General Manager, John Calais, on the SRG Universe Supershow discussion group Facebook page. Most of these awards I'll give my thoughts. There's at least one award I see right away I'm not going to have a lot to talk about, but I'll at least go over them all with you and give you my insight. The awards will be announced, the winners will be announced, as I say, on the 5th of December, the Thursday before PAX Unplugged starts. PAX Unplugged, for those of you who... theoretically, there's still time. I've not checked the ticket sale, so I don't know if there's still passes available. It's a 3-day convention in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the Philadelphia Convention Center, running from December 6th through 8th. SRG Universe will be doing events. We'll have a booth, have some demo space. Event space at the actual convention hall is up still, as far as I know, up in the air. They've looked at having them perhaps hold events at an off-site. But I know the plans, at least from what they have announced, are sort of a new player event Friday, a heavyweight championship tournament on Saturday, and then a tag team tournament Sunday, which is essentially what they did last year. They didn't do the new guy on Friday, but they did do a singles and then a tag team tournament. I would like to have gone back there because I'd just like to go and play Supershow and see all the guys again, especially some of the East Coast guys I don't get to see. Prior to my Bound for Glory win, the best I'd ever done was semifinals of a tournament. That was the PAX Unplugged tournament. In the singles, in the tag, I actually made the finals in the tag. Did not win. That was the Joseph Ritchie, Kim Riley win. Of course, Shady Jeff won the singles. But I was looking forward to going back and trying again. Unfortunately, not going to be able to make it. But there's plenty of things going on here. We've got the local Impact show, not quite local, in Dayton, Ohio, that SRG Universe will have a presence at, and I'll be there too. That's going to be on Saturday night, December the 7th. Looking forward to that. We will be demoing the Supershow at this Impact event, so hopefully we'll be able to pick up some new players in the Dayton, Cincinnati area of Ohio. That would be great. But back to us talking about the SRG Awards 2019. I'm just going to go through the list as on the discussion group and give you my thoughts. So the first category listed is Best New Artist. And the Best New Artists, and I apologize if I pronounce these names incorrectly, Manal, Manish, Arnav, which I think is Arnav Panda, and Roval. The artist of these four, the one I'm most familiar with, is Arnav. To be fair, I'm not the biggest fan of Arnav, primarily because of the coloring. I feel like his colors aren't as bright as some others. There's actually some art samples here provided. I'm going to go through them. Manal is the one that did the new Krampus card. He did the new Taunting Sheep card, which we'll talk about a little bit later in another category. Manish did the Dragon Kanrana, the Save the Bacon card. Arnav did do the Rainbow Girl. The Rainbow Girl is the card I like most of all of the Arnav Panda arts. I really do like the way he did Rainbow Girl, but primarily because of the color. To me, that's always been sort of the problem I've had with Arnav. I'm not a big fan of his coloring. but I love the color on that one. And then Roval did the Boss Rate chop, among other things. That's kind of my thoughts on the artists. I don't really have a pick out of those, but just to give you an idea of who those are. Next category, Breakout Star of the Year. First nominee is me, Michael Kirk. I don't think of myself as the Breakout Star of the Year. I'm actually quite surprised at this nomination. Thank you to the gentleman at SRG Universe for picking me as a potential Breakout Star of the Year, nominee. I'm just not. I don't see it. But thank you for the nomination. Also on this list, TJ Marconi, Mysterious, Bobby Ohio, The Grump, and Colin Simon. I would kind of say that of breakout stars, I would pick Bobby Ohio. Just because to me, breakout stars isn't so much about performance in tournaments, but it's sort of about a personality. And to me, Bobby Ohio is kind of I would say, biggest personality on this list. Colin Simon is great. He's made a lot of cuts, a lot of top cuts in a lot of tournaments. He's probably been one of the most consistent players, but he doesn't really have a big online presence. The Grump is great. The only thing about the Grump is I would say that Dick Thunderlips is a bigger breakout star than the Grump. That, to me, is what hurts the Grump on this list. If they'd have put Dick Thunderlips, I probably would give it to Dick Thunderlips as the breakout star. But of the list right now, I've got to give it to Bobby Ohio. Next list, Best SRG Cameo. Gordita Furia, front row at Royal Rumble. Michael Dean's in the crowd with Braun Strowman. Meta overseas at WrestleFest. And the Brain wearing his SRG hat being spotted by Bilo at the airports. I've got to go Gordita Furia, front row at Royal Rumble. Just because not only was that great to just see her in the SRG Universe t-shirt in the front row, but she was such an enthusiastic fan during the Rumble. Multiple people, including WWE wrestlers, tweeted, put out on their social media, look at this woman in the purple shirt in the front row. She's great. So to me, that's the best SRG cameo, hands down. Not just great to see her in the front row at such a prominent event, but she just represented SRG Universe with just incredible enthusiasm. So that to me is the best cameo. Card of the Year. True Survivor, the Armenian series, Director of Operations, Combat Clan, Russian Leg Sweep, and the new version of Super Kick. The new version of Super Kick being the one where I believe if you have another follow-up and play, take one follow-up from your discard pile and put it on top of your deck. To me, the card of the year, hands down, Director of Operations. And here's why I think Director of Operations is the card of the year. When I came into this game, the clear consensus number one entrance card outside of a title card was Champion Kickstarter. There was nothing close. Now, granted, there weren't as many entrance cards when this year started and when I started playing as there are now, but Champion Kickstarter was king entrance card until Director of Operations came along. Director of Operations is the only card, to me, has had a long-lasting effect on the way people play. It has taken a card that was the clear number one and made a conversation. You may still think that Champion Kickstarter is the best card, and I know that in certain circumstances it is, but Director of Operations has just as great a claim to me as the best card, as an entrance card in the game. It's that impactful. Even more so than the other cards on here, other entrance cards. True Survivor, Combat Clan. Those are great, but to me, they don't see anywhere near the wide set spread play, and they have not had an effect on just breaking the stranglehold that Champion Kickstarter had on best entrance card. As far as the other cards on this list, Russian Leg Sweep is great, but it's the third in a series. You have Charging Headbutt, you have Side Chin Lock. Plus, I also mentioned this is where Taunting Sheep I mentioned earlier comes in. Booker Mania has taken the shine off this card a little bit, which makes a card like Taunting Sheep better in this circumstance, especially in singles play. Sorry, in non-multiplayer play. And while the Armenian series is great, all those cards, Armenian Power Punch, Armenian Supershow, Armenian Steel Boot Shots, all those are great. At the end of the day, they're just another great option in the 22 through 24 slot. You still have the Lariat cards, your 360 Lariat, Lariat Takedown, Lariat Knot. You still have your face cards, your running face kick, flying face buster, inverted face lock. You still have all the set up the table, set up the ladder, set up the steel chain cards. You have cards like the rolling suplex, bridging suplex, snap headbutt. There's so many great cards in 22 through 24. The Armenian series, while it's great, it's not changing. It's not like I'm not gonna play. If I was a guy who played Lariats, the Lariat series, it's not like I'm gonna abandon the Lariat series to play Armenian. I might mix an Armenian in, but it's not. It's just another great option in 22 through 24. It's not the default option. So to me, in terms of just impact on the game overall, long-lasting impact, Director of Operations is the card of the year. Catchphrase of the year. Chugga chugga. Clams to cannolis. Oh, hey, man. Next. Two sweep. And listen up, Jack. My actual pick for catchphrase of the year isn't on here. To me, catchphrase of the year is roll, flip, squat. That to me is the catchphrase of the year. Chugga chugga is great, but does anyone really use chugga chugga outside of the inner circle? Clams to cannolis is good, but I don't see much use for that outside of the SRG boss. Next is pretty much a Calais exclusive. Two sweeps not bad for the Mac Custodian. Listen up, Jack's great for Booker. I would probably say out of all of these, the one that's kind of caught on the most and is used the most is Oh Hey Man. So that might be the catchphrase of the year. But I still like roll, flip, squat better. I think it's the better catchphrase. Champion of the year. Steve Resk, Marcel, Jim Calais, Italian Bombata, Kirk Polka, and Matt Nealon. It's kind of a tough category because when I think champ of the year, my first thought is to limit it to LFF champions, which right away is going to eliminate 4 of the 6 men because the only 2 men on this list to hold actual LFF gold, excluding the hardcore championship. I'll take the hardcore out because a lot of people have held that. I've held that. The only 2 that have held are the Italian Bombata and Kirk Polka, both being Underworld champions. And if that's the case, I would kind of give it to Kirk Polka over Italian Bombata. But I'm not really strong either way as far as what I think. Commentator of the year. Leo, Law, John Calais, Texas Bob, Steve Resk, and John Polverino. I'm surprised Robert the Brain Dunn isn't on this list. That probably would have been my pick. Of these, I'm probably going to go John Calais. I know Leo the Law likes to stake his reputation on being a commentator, but to be fair, too often I'm seeing situations where matches need commentary, and Leo is just not there to step up and be the commentator. So I'm going to go Calais on this one. That's my pick. LFF Competitor of the Year. Belinda, Vanilla Gorilla, Getting Guts, Vic the Brick, Fox Assassin, High Water, Booker Mania, or The Grump. I'm going to say High Water. High Water is the Competitor of the Year. Because not only did Loudmouth Leo use him so often for victory, especially at Origins, winning both the LFF Heavyweight Championship Tournament and the Tag Tournament, and didn't even change the decks, didn't even alter the decks from going from a singles tournament to the Tag Tournament. I mean, High Water is the reason that Chugga Chugga is even on the Catchphrase of the Year list because of his finish card, 420 to Yuma. To me, it's high water. Belinda, I think, has a shot because to basically come on and then win Gen Con World Heavyweight Championship Tournament is a great accomplishment. Fox Assassin, I know, has won a few takeover events. Booker, of course, won his first CAC using Booker Mania. Vanilla Gorilla, the boss, used Vanilla Gorilla to win the SRG Hardcore Championship. But for me, the clear victor here is going to be High Water. I just think High Water's done too much. The resume is too big. Deck of the Year. John Polverino's Belinda deck. The Boss's Donation deck. The Brain's The Brain deck. Matt Smith's D2 deck. Loudmouth Leo's High Water deck. And King Pink's Amazing Red deck. Again, I'm going to go Loudmouth Leo High Water deck. I mean, this is a deck that was good enough to win singles and win tag without any changes being made. To me, that versatility, being able to basically make no changes, go from singles to tag, and win the championship tournaments in both, I got to give it to High Water. Event of the Year. Grand Gathering, Marktoberfest, FreeCon, Origins, Flat Saturday 2, or ArmorCon. I probably like to say Origins because it's in my hometown. But it's Grand Gathering. It's Grand Gathering, no question. All the great events that were there, all of us together in one location. Grand Gathering is the event of the year. It just is that way. I'm not even going to make an argument. It's just Grand Gathering. Face of the Year. James Russell DeMello, Jacob Maynard, the Ogre, the Big Guy, King Pink, and Sean Lowe. All great. I'm going to go James Russell DeMello just because of the way he's managed to grow the game in such a short time. This is a gentleman I first met at the Grand Gathering, which was back in May. He just got into the game at the time I met him. And from basically that point, when the Grand Gathering finished in May until now, to see how large Revolutionary Championship Wrestling has grown, to see him, essentially go from nothing to creating a huge promotion, a huge tournament in FreeCon, a new show in the compound. The impact that James Russell DeMello has had on the game in not even a full year, in basically about 8 months, is incredible to me, hands down. That makes him face the year. Faction of the Year. Inner Circle, The Coven, Crime Wave, Impact, Rust Belt, KSW Worldwide. I'm going to give it to the Inner Circle. When you look at the success Inner Circle's had, all the success Loudmouth Leo has had, the success that Mysterious has had, the success that the Grump, Chad Gropak, everybody's had. The Inner Circle has just been full of people who have won big tournaments. I really can't say about any other of these, any other factions. The Rust Belt has had James Booker win a couple CACs. Impact, we've seen a lot of final appearances from John Polverino. But to me, when you look at just Faction of the Year, it's Inner Circle. It's got to be Inner Circle. They've had the greatest accomplishment. They've had the biggest impact. I brought up Chugga Chugga earlier. Oh hey man, that's a John Calais thing. That's a Loudmouth Leo thing. That's an Inner Circle catchphrase. Same with Next. That's a John Calais thing. That's an Inner Circle thing. The impact the Inner Circle has had on the game this year is big enough to earn them Faction of the Year. Feud of the Year. Matt Nealon versus Funtime Bob. SRG versus KSW. Compound versus Crime Wave. Eddie Fury versus Everyone. David Marisak versus Steel Wolf. And South Bell versus Mysterious. In terms of just promo work, it comes down to me to two. Matt Nealon versus Funtime Bob and the David Marisak versus Steel Wolf feud. It's really a toss-up, but I would argue that the Matt Nealon versus Fun Time feud, bigger, longer, more twists. The David Marisak versus Steel Wolf feud was great, but it's done. It was a feud leading up to Marktoberfest. It had its conclusion of Marktoberfest, and that's pretty much it. Matt Nealon versus Fun Time Bob, it too sort of ran through Marktoberfest, but it felt like it started earlier, and the big twist ending where they get back together, and then the bigger twist where they essentially turn their backs on the Rust Belt and join KSW North, become part of the KSW Worldwide, come under that umbrella. To me, that makes that a bigger feud than the David Marisak versus Steel Wolf. So I'm picking them. Heel of the Year: Kirk Polka, Eddie Fury, Impact as a faction, Funtime Bob, Andrew Treving, Matt Smith. This one's tough because I kind of like all these guys. The one I kind of have the least connection to, just because I've never really met him, is Andrew Treving. I think I met him briefly at Gen Con, and that was it. I haven't talked to him before or since. Of course, he hasn't really been around in the game before or since. But this is a hard one to pick. I'm not sure who I would choose. Impact as a faction, it's hard to say. I don't think of Chris Pagillo as a heel. I don't even really think of Impact as a faction as being a heel faction. I mean, I don't think of Everett Stevens as a heel. I don't think of Joseph Ritchie when he was part of Impact as a heel. Same thing with the Simons. Same thing with GPS, Dustin Garman. I don't think of those guys as heels, so I don't really see them as heel of the year. I guess the guy who's most like a heel, probably Eddie Fury, but to me, there's no real clear-cut heel of the year. I don't know. I think this category is wide open because I don't see these guys as definitive heels. All right, Loudmouth Award: Evil Ed, Young Allergy, Eddie Fury, Master of the Mattress, Steel Wool, Salty Sailor, Funtime Bob. I don't know. I have no clue. No clue who should be the winner of this award. If I had to give it to someone, I'll give it to Eddie Fury again, but no idea. Alright, let's move on. Match of the Year: Fatal 4-Way LFF Underworld title at the Grand Gathering. This was the match between, I believe this match was Shane Strickland, I want to say Jacob Maynard, King Greatness, Zach Woodall, and the Italian Bombata. I believe the Italian Bombata had won the match the night before off of Shane Strickland, and it was originally supposed to be a triple threat. Shane Strickland used his rematch clause. It was the last rematch clause that had been given out, and still at this point there are no rematch clauses for champions, to make this match into a fatal 4-way. And the Italian Bombata, Chris Pagillo, manages to squeak through, remain champion. Even though he essentially had to face down 3 men, he ends up winning the match. Pink versus Press 1P, the LFF Championship at Plaid Saturday 2. I don't really want to talk about this. Big Money versus Outlaw Mudcast, LFF Tag Team Championship at the Grand Gathering, so we won't talk about that anymore. South Bell versus Kirk Polka, LFF Underworld Championship at Gen Con. SRG Universe versus KSW at Gen Con. And Tournament Champions Finals, John P. versus Pat Mulligan versus King Pink, also took place at the Grand Gathering. This is the match where King Pink wins the opportunity to go on to face Shady Jeff at Origins for the LFF World Heavyweight Championship. To me, I'm going to say, because it's a never-before-seen match, and it hasn't been seen since, I'm going to go with the SRG Universe versus KSW. This was the first 6-man multiplayer tag team match. So, Steve Resk, Samantha Resk, Sage, and General Manager John Calais took on King Greatness, Zach Woodall, King Cold, Keith Strader, and King Pink, Austin Pogue, in a match where if KSW was able to win, KSW would be able to get a faction pack that would feature all of their competitors with a complete set of finishers for each competitor. We don't know when this faction pack is going to come out. I'm assuming it'll be sometime in 2020. But they were able to win this prize. This was a great match. I was there live. It went late into the night. It was an intense match. There was a lot of sort of gamesmanship pre-match, trying to figure out what stipulation was going to be picked, was going to be used. It came down to where KSW hit a finish. They had to essentially use multiple saving throws. This was the first time that not only were there saving throws, but there were, I believe it was like a negation throw, where KSW was able to take away a save throw from SRG Universe, which is why they won. Just an intense match, unique, first of its kind. To me, that's the match of the year, hands down. I'm going SRG Universe versus KSW. Best mic skills: TJ Marconi, Bobby Ohio, King Greatness, The Grump, Dick Thunderlips, and Young Allergy. This one's tough because I've really heard a lot of TJ Marconi on the mic. Bobby O is great on the mic. Bobby Ohio is great on the mic. King Greatness is great on the mic. Both those guys are great on the mic. They're always going to be top contender. The Grump and Dick Thunderlips, I'd argue Dick Thunderlips is better on the mic than the Grump. And then Young Allergy's a great rapper. Does he cut a great promo? I don't know. I think best mic skills this year, I think I'm going to go Dick Thunderlips. I think Dick Thunderlips has done a lot on the mic, just in terms of, I'm not going to dispute quality. I think his quality's up there with people like Bobby Ohio and King Greatness. I think his quantity is going to give him the edge over those two. That's my pick for best mic skills this year. Best musical performance: James Booker, Grand Gathering. The Boss, Steve Resk versus Young Allergy, their feud. Young Allergy's New York Rules rap. King Cold's rap on his Drive to Gen Con. The Bobby Ohio Slammin' 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 Yo song. And then Sage's cover of Bobby Ohio's Slammin' 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 Yo song. Oh, and finally, the Grumps' Kiss from Calais. The Kiss from a Rose cover type song. To me, best musical performance, hands down. Especially because I was there live. James Booker at the Grand Gathering. James Booker's impromptu, off the cup, freestyle rap out of nowhere at the Grand Gathering is one of the highlights of the Grand Gathering. One of the highlights of being part of Supershow. One of the reasons why, if you've not gone to a Grand Gathering, I'm going to encourage you to go this year. Just très magnifique, as the French say. It's just outstanding. All these others are good, but to me, it's James Booker all the way. Best new promotion: RCW, ILW, Island Life Wrestling, ACCW, that's Asylum Championship Card Wrestling, and that's it, those three. RCW, hands down. Again, James DeMello. This is not taking anything away from their promotions, but the other promotions haven't hosted their own CAC tournament, let alone a free con. They haven't done anything on that level. They don't have shows like the Compound. They don't have anywhere near the quantity of players. To me, it's RCW running away with it. There's no question. It's RCW all the way. Best online show. This is the one that hurts me the most because, and I'm just going to stop, and I don't like to talk about myself in my show normally, but I'll talk about it here. We are the longest running show covering the SRG Universe game, the Supershow, exclusively. We've been doing this for over 60 episodes now. We've never missed a week. We might have been late on a day due to travel, but we've never missed a week. And I feel like we've just done a lot of quality shows. And so it's disappointing just not to be nominated. Now it's possible that we didn't meet their criteria because we don't know what makes you the best online show. For example, we don't live stream. All these shows live stream video. We're recorded audio. So maybe that's why we didn't even get nominated. But it does kind of make me a bit sad we didn't get nominated. Hopefully next year we'll be up for some kind of award as a show. But I'm kind of bummed we didn't even get chosen to be on this list, considering it's a big list. So, Best Online Show, Art with the Ogre, Talk of the Universe, The Dojo, Positively Perry, Monday Night Reel, The Power Hour, and The Compound. Now, I can tell you of these shows, my personal favorite is The Power Hour. I'm a fan of the big guy, so if it was up to me to pick, I'm going to pick The Power Hour. To be fair, there's a lot of these shows I haven't gotten to see. I haven't really seen Art with the Ogre, although I was a big fan of Pile Drive, which was his other show. I like Pile Drive a lot. The Compound, again, I just haven't gotten to see a lot of The Compound. And I haven't gotten to see a lot of Positively Perry. So that's going to affect my position. I think it's The Power Hour. Of the other ones, Talk of the Universe obviously is going to be a top show because it is the major source of news for what's going on at the SRG Universe. The Dojo gets a lot of love, but it's hard to say, does the Dojo get a lot of love because people like watching the matches on it, or does the Dojo get a lot of love because you can get $20 cards for $1? I feel the sales factor, the discount factor of the Dojo heavily influences its viewership. There's just no getting around that. And then Monday Night Reel, while I like the Power Hour, and that's my pick, I think Monday Night Reel is going to win. Even though it's not really on anymore as a regular show, there's no other show that has gone from being an independent show to an SRG Universe official show, to actually be featured on the SRG Universe Twitch page. To me, that's a big accomplishment. It's why I think they're going to be the winner. But my pick's the Power Hour. Alright, next category. Best Out-of-Ring Moment. The nominees are James Ramsey presents CJ Sparrow to the Boss at the Grand Gathering. The LEO, Leo the Law, presents Lucky Shot to South Bell at the Grand Gathering. Sage and the Boss get married one more time at the Grand Gathering by the Reverend Robert Torn. Italian Bombada, Chris Pagillo, presents the Witch's Apprentice card to Shelby Stevens. And finally, the Boss presents the Uncle Awesome card to Mysterious. A lot of great moments. I think it's going to be the Boss presents Uncle Awesome to Mysterious. That's I'm just going to go with that one. That's my pick. Next, Player of the Year. Loudmouth Leo Larynx, James Booker, King Pink, John Polverino, Matt Smith, the SRG Boss, the Grump, and the Brain. I'm going to go with Loudmouth Leo Larynx. In terms of just winning, there's no comparison. He won the main tournament at PAX South singles. He won Origins World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. He won Origins Tag Team Tournament. He won the LFF Tag Team Championship, and he has continued to hold that championship. To me, in terms of just sheer number of top wins, I'm going Loudmouth Leo Larynx Player of the Year. I said back when he won Origins, it's going to be a hard thing for anybody to contend because you would have to do a lot of winning. Some people have come close since then. James Booker's won 2 CACs. John Polverino, of course, won the 2019 Gen Con World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. I think if Polverino had been able to win one of the CACs, like like if he'd been able to win at FreeCon instead of coming in, second place, if he would have maybe been able to beat King Pink, become the LFF World Heavyweight Championship, that could have put him over the top. But I just don't think anyone else has done the sheer amount of winning that Loudmouth Leo Lyrics has done in 2019. To me, he's going to be Player of the Year. All right, best recorded promo. Booker in the bathtub. I don't know what Stupid Faction is. Kirk Boko joins the Inner Circle, wins membership ring. Brain creates a think tank and leaves Impact. GM John Claes gets the results of the LFF Underworld Championship match from CBW. That's the match where essentially Shane Strickland versus King Greatness, Leo the Law on commentary. All these gentlemen missed the rules that King Greatness, because of the bonus to, I believe, the breakout roll provided by the cards, or the lack of a +1 to the finish roll from the cards. There's some bonus that either is or isn't countered, and because of this, King Greatness actually kicks out of the finish, but everybody involved watching on site misses that and thinks that King Greatness lost. Which is why King Greatness was in the triple threat / fatal 4-way for the Underworld Championship at the Grand Gathering. Fake Talk of the Universe episode by the Three Kings, and then Crime Wave giving Mike a new die. Not too familiar with the last one. Not familiar with the Stupid Faction. To me, it comes down to the Booker in the bathtub promo and Fake Talk of the Universe by Three Kings. It's a toss-up between those two. I love both of those. I'm going to swerve myself. I'm going to go Fake Talk of the Universe by the Three Kings. I was thinking it was going to be Bath Time Booker, but looking at it, I think Fake Talk of the Universe by the Three Kings was just outstanding. Dustin Garland's performance alone as John Polverino is just great. So I'm going to go Fake Talk of the Universe as the best recorded promo. Promotion of the Year. RCW. Revolutionary Championship Wrestling. RBW, Rust Belt Wrestling of America. A Store of Fire and Dice. Iron Life Wrestling. King Show Wrestling. Or Comic Book World. I'm stick with the RCW. I still think they've done so much in such a short amount of time. I know Buckeye Championship Wrestling last year, we won Best New Promotion. What RCW has done compared to what we did blows us out of the water. And I think he just blows everybody else out of the water. Rust Belt Wrestling of America, I think, is again a close second. They hosted a lot. They hosted a lot of tournaments, a couple of creative competitor tournaments, even some non-creative competitor, just get together, big match tournaments. They just a lot of promos come out of them, a lot of feuds. I think they're great. I just think I'm just going to give the edge to RCW. But I think Rust Belt is just as outstanding. To me, it's 1 and 2, and then everybody else in this list, distant. It's those two and nobody else. It could have gone either way, but I'm just going to go Rust Belt. Sorry. That's how close it was. I almost said Rust Belt. I'm going to go RCW. Rising Star, Hold the Line Harry, EV Fresh, The Living Weapon, Vinny Trebbing, Brock Smith, Google Docs Dan. I'm going with Brock Smith, starting with the how well he did at the Creative Competitor Tournament at Big Rapids, in Big Rapids, Michigan, at BR Hobby Shop. Going to what he did at Gen Con, and just the idea he's only 14, he's only going to get better. I'm going to go Brock Smith. All these others, Hold the Line Harry's great. Thanks for listening. I just don't think you've been around long enough to really to hit that to be nominated. Living Weapon and EV Fresh are both great. Vinny Trebling, I believe, is Andrew Trebling's son. I've not really had a lot of interactions with Vinny Trebling. Same thing with Google Docs Dan. Just haven't really seen a lot from Google Docs Dan. I'm going to go Brock Smith. Road Warrior. The Brain, the Overbees, Sean Loeb, Chris Pate, Justin Stein, Pretty Boy Snow, and Director of Operations. Got two BCW nominees on here, the Overbees and Justin Stein. To me, this category is two people. It's the Overbees and it's the Brain. And just in terms of just a sheer number of events he's gone to, I've got to give it to the Brain, Robert the Brain Dunn. Because not only has he been to every major convention, Origins, Gen Con, I believe he's going to be at PAX Unplugged. He's been to FreeCon. He's been to the Rust Belt, CACs. He was just at the Texas-Oklahoma tournament and won. And that's the other thing, too. Not only has he been going to these places, he wins. He won the LFF Tornado Tag Championship, successfully defended it, lost it, won it back in a rematch. I believe he's defended it since then. I mentioned he just went to Texas and won there too. So to me, there's just nobody better on the road, going to these places and making a big splash. I'm going Robert the Brain Dunn there. Rookie of the Year. The Brain, Bam Bam Sam, Pretty Boy Snow, Beatstick Brandon, James DeMello, Jacob Denmark. For all the reasons I just gave for Brain for Road Warrior, the same reasons he's going to be Rookie of the Year. Bam Bam Sam, you had a great showing at PAX East. And I'm sure he does well at RCW, but I haven't heard much about him outside of that. Pretty Boy Snow had one win against the Brain that the Brain took right back in a rematch. Beatstick Brandon just became #1 contender for the LFF Trios Championship, held by James DeMello, which gives them both a good claim for Rookie of the Year. But again, to me, this is a two-man race. It's the Brain and James DeMello. But I'm going to go for, as an individual in-game, I'm going to use that as a tiebreaker and go the Brain. Shock of the Year. James Booker wins Plat Saturday 2 with Vic the Brick. New player wins FreeCon with a starter pack versus John Paul Reno. Kirk Boakle Jones Inner Circle. GPS leaves KSW for Impact. Prince of Fashion Perfection Sean Spears invade the Grand Gathering. Calais gets hit in the face with a promo pack by Sami Callihan at the Grand Gathering. Winning with Vic the Brick is not really a huge shock. I mean, Vic the Brick's a great player. He's overshadowed because he's very similar to the Immortal Warrior, and the Immortal Warrior just has a slight edge on Vic the Brick, but they're both great. I don't really think it's a shock. New player winning FreeCon versus John Polverino might be a shock. The two gentlemen joining Inner Circle and Impact, not a huge deal. Prince of Fashion, Tyler Breeze and Dilly showing up at the Grand Gathering, that's pretty close. Calais getting hit in the face by Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan hit a few people at Grand Gathering, so Calais being... Now, taking it to the eye is probably not great, but I don't know, shock of these on here, to me it's the new player versus Breeze and versus the Sweets coming to the Grand Gathering. I'm going to go new player winning FreeCon versus John Polverino. As close as John Polverino has gotten to winning a CAC, and he's been in the finals multiple times, this was one you think, okay, well maybe he's going to win this because the experience is going to carry the day, and it still just doesn't break his way in the finals. So I'm going to go with that as a shock of the year, but I'm not. I don't know. I feel this category could be a little bit, could be some stronger shocks. Best new signing: Sabu, Hangman Page, Johan Sibelius, Joey Janela, Prince of Fashion, or Perfection. I think there's a lot of great players. There's a lot of great competitors in here. I'm going Prince of Fashion because not only do I like his competitor card as a playable card, of these gentlemen who signed, he's the one you'd think would be the least likely, the hardest to get to actually be in the game. So him being in the game under the circumstances he's in is quite extraordinary. I'm going to go with the Prince of Fashion as the best new sign. Tag Team of the Year, Girthquake, Kabuki Kablau, Inner Circle, Big Money, Dangerous Alliance, New World Order, Ian Chambers, and Taylor Schwab from ILW, from Island Life Wrestling. I'm going to go with my local guys. I'm going Girthquake. To me, Girthquake, while they haven't really had that big signature win, they've had some great wins. They had a great win versus, I believe it was Calais and Loudmouth during Bound for Glory weekend. They're still, as far as I know, in the tag team tournament to become number one contenders to face the Inner Circle. They're clearly over. They're incredibly over as far as tag teams go in the LFF. They're probably more. I'd say they're probably the most over tag team right now in the LFF, especially relative to what they've accomplished. I'm going Girthquake, Tag Team of the Year. Work of the Year. Mike Wright being masked during the Grand Gathering for the first day. Jim Clay suspended from FreeCon. Boston Sage attending Plaid Saturday 2 for the tag team match with the Bums. And Chad Streak. I'm not too familiar with what Chad Streak is. To me, it's either Mike Riot or Boston Sage. I'm going to go Boston Sage. I'm just going to go Boston Sage. I was more surprised Boston Sage showed up at Plaid Saturday 2 than it was that Mike Riot showed up at the Grand Gathering. That one hit me more than the other. I was there for both. It just these Boston Sage attending Plaid Saturday 2. It shouldn't be. It doesn't make any sense because Mike Riot came from New Zealand. He crossed the Pacific Ocean to be at the Grand Gathering. That should be the work of the year. I guess it's just more plausible he would come from New Zealand than Boston Sage would come from New York, which is a weird thing to say. But yeah, I think that's the work of the year. I think that's a bigger work, at least in this category, than the other ones. SRG Youth Award. Jay Flash, Mallory, Brock Smith, Little Nealon, and Vinny Trebbing. It's Jay Flash. There's only one junior heavyweight champion, and that's Jay Flash. Love to give it to Mallory. Love, because I played her quite a bit. Brock Smith's a strong contender. He's done well for himself. He did well. Like I said, the Big Rapids Creative Competitor Tournament. He did well at Gen Con. But Jay Flash is the champ. Jay Flash gets the nod from me. Jobber of the Year. The SRG Boss, John Clace, Italian Bombada, Anthony Medveds, and Andrew Trevitt. This one's tough. I'm not giving it to the Boss or Clace. I mean, I know the Clace had a terrible Plaid Saturday 2 tournament, but I'm not giving it to Clace. I'm thinking it's going to come down to the Italian Bombada and the Andrew Trevitt over the Underworld Championship. I'm going to give the edge to Italian Bombada. Just because losing the LFF Underworld Championship a week before Origins, so the belt is not represented at Origins, is a pretty big job. Yeah, Trebbing winning it after basically winning the tournament that day, having a big hot streak, and then immediately losing it in the first ever defense at Gen Con is pretty bad. But the impact of Bombada losing the belt when he lost it so close to Origins is going to give him the edge. And I'm sorry because I like you, Chris Pacillo. I feel bad tagging you with this. You're a former LFF Underworld Champion. You're the 2018 Origins Underworld Champion tournament winner. You're an Impact and you're on the verge of winning Faction Wars. But I got to give you this. Sorry. All right, Botch of the Year. Brian Cage, for the Grand Gathering, instead of allowing Steve and the guys at SRG Awards to book his travel, book his hotel stay, instead of booking for Cincinnati, accidentally books for Columbus, flies into Columbus, lands, finds out when he tries to Uber to the address that he's flown into the wrong city, has to get from Columbus to Cincinnati, scramble to find a hotel room because he completely messed up his travel arrangements. That's a huge botch. Strickland versus Greatness not using the correct ruling on the main event crowd meter. I talked about this earlier. They misread the way the bonuses worked on the crowd meter. So they essentially, because of this misread of the bonuses, because they missed something, they ruled that Greatness did not kick out when he actually kicked out. Alien Invader versus B1 box set, I believe that's the phenomenal one, having like a finish that had just a bad printing on it. And then the last one, Grand Gathering elevators. For those of you at the Grand Gathering, there were essentially 3 elevators, one of which was sort of like staff specific, so you couldn't really use that very often. Every now and then you used it, but you shouldn't really have. The other 2 elevators had a problem where one of them I think didn't work. One of them had some weird button thing where it's like if you got on it, you wanted to go down. Sometimes you had to go up to go down. They were just very slow, and it was rough because where we were located in the hotel, the space we had was on the top floor. So you always had to ride up to the top floor to basically play, and then of course ride down to your hotel room, whatever floor you're on that. Just the elevators were slow and took forever, which which probably if you're just staying there and you're going out places, not a huge deal, but because staying there and having to go up to the conference room and back is just a drag. The other thing I'll say about the elevators too is that there was only one set of stairs to go down. It didn't even take you all the way to the ground floor, and you had to actually go outside. You had to actually walk on the roof outside of the elements, which was fine. It wasn't raining or anything, although it would have been terrible it was raining, to get to the stairwell to go down into the building. So it wasn't even like the stairs were a great option when the elevators are bad. Just kind of had to live with bad elevators. Matt Nealon losing to a finish roll of 8 against Highwater in the Origins World Heavyweight Championship Tournament Finals. Matt Nealon was using El Super Hombre. To set the scene, basically, there's 4 turn rolls. It's Matt Nealon using El Super Hombre in the finals versus Loudmouth Leo using Highwater. First turn roll, Highwater wins, plays the lead. Second turn roll, I believe Highwater wins, plays a follow-up. Nothing stopped either time. Third turn roll is a bump. Fourth turn roll, Loudmouth Leo draws, plays a finish, rolls an 8. So, to set the scene, it's an 8, which normally you have a 50-50 shot to roll an 8 or better and break out. In El Superhombre's case, on his third breakout roll, because of his gimmick, he gets +2 to his third breakout roll. He's got a 5 and 6 chance of breaking out. The only way he doesn't break out of the finish rolls is if he rolls a 5 on the third roll. First 2 rolls, he does not roll 8 or better. Third roll, he rolls the 5, which of course with the +2 goes to a 7. He loses the Origins World Heavyweight Championship Tournament by rolling a 5 on his final breakout roll. The only roll he couldn't roll and stay alive. He rolls. Very, very unfortunate. Hard, tough break. And then the final one is John Polverino 656. I meant to mention this for my Deck of the Year. It wasn't on the list, but I think that at least honorable mention. The Chris Pagillo, Matt Stevens tribute deck should have been on the list. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with the game, earlier this year we lost a gentleman who was very involved in the Louisville Supershow scene, Matt Stevens. This was late 2018 because his daughter was in the CCC as the Witch's Apprentice in 2018. And so during the Royal Rumble that year, I believe it was Michael Deans holds a tournament at his martial arts studio called the Rumble at the Rumble. It's a creative competitor tournament. And Chris Pagillo essentially says, I'm going to play a deck that Matt Stevens like to play in this tournament. And if I win, I'm going to basically give my card to Shelby to make the Witch's Apprentice. Shelby Stevens is the daughter of Matt Stevens, to make the Witch's Apprentice. So, he plays this deck, which is Grim using Candice LeRae, because if the Candice LeRae gimmick goes off, it gives Grim 2 10s. Plays this, makes the finals, facing John Pulver in the finals, throws a Schoolboy, which also happened to be a favorite card of Matt Stevens, throws a Schoolboy for the finish. I believe it ends up being I don't know if he rolled a 7 or if he rolled a 10, and because of the Schoolboy, it went down to 7. But has a finish roll of a 7. John Pulverino rolls to breakout, rolls 6, 5, 6. Chris Pagillo wins with the Matt Stevens tribute deck, which is my pick for what should be deck of the year, but it'll just have to be an honorable mention. So that's the final botch there. I think Brian Cage going to the Ron Airport might be the botch of the year because it's an actual botch. I mean, Grand Gathering Hours were just bad. Matt Nealon losing to an 8 is just a rough break, and so is John Pulverino. But Brian Cage booking the wrong city for the Grand Gathering, because that's not just my die roll didn't break the wrong way, I missed a sentence of text. That's a huge botch. Because not only did he book his airport, his plane to the wrong city, he booked a hotel in the wrong city. To me, I'm going to say Brian Cage, wrong airport, botch of the year. And that is it for the awards. So those are my picks. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I will not be there at the award ceremony live, but I will be watching online. We've already gone about an hour at this point, so I don't want to be on here too long. Let's start to wrap this up. I did want to talk about the CCC. We've had one match in the CCC since last weekend. It was a tough match between Sherry Von Danish, the Sierra Simons competitor, the Ogre Baba Huff's competitor, and a few others. I won't mention those because it's very clear that the race was between Bob the Ogre and Sierra, and Sherry Von Danish ended up pulling it. It was neck and neck for a long time, but she ended up pulling away. She has gone on to the CCC. They've announced the competitors for the fourth match in the CCC. Those competitors are Vivica K. Fade, Narabi the Awoken Dragon, True Survivor, Party Monster, and the Trash Man. Not too familiar with who Vivica K. Fade is. I believe Narabi the Awoken Dragon is from Brian, wait for it, Schmidt. I believe True Survivor is Anthony Medvez. I'm not sure who the Party Monster is. And the Trash Man is Neil Nealon. I guess of all these, I would sort of pick the Trash Man. But there's a lot of good competitors in here. I probably see this being a three-way race between Trash Man, Awoken Dragon, and True Survivor. But I'm thinking this is Trash Man's to win. I'm picking Trash Man. I also wanted to bring this up because I'm already seeing this starting to be a thing, and it's concerning me because of last year's CCC. One of the things about last year's CCC, and part of this because of the sheer number of competitors that were in it dragged on for a long time. Part of that, Noel, was also because of breaks. I believe the boss took a vacation during this time. We also had they took some time off for PAX Unplugged, which I'm expecting will take off again this year. But we've only had 3 matches, and I would not be surprised if the 4th match did not start until after PAX Unplugged, which I don't think is good for the CCC. I think it would be better to have these matches pretty much back to back and maybe a day between them. And definitely in the first round. So I'm starting to get concerned with the delays in the matches and hoping this doesn't drag out too long. And there's other things I think I could talk about in the show that I can get to talk about. Of course, we have 2 weeks from now, December 14th, CCW is hosting a Creative Competitor Tournament at Titan Game Shop in Hopewell, Pennsylvania. $15 pre-registration. Link should be available on the SRG Supershow discussion group website, Facebook page. Or you can reach out to Stephen Himes or Gary Schneider on Facebook. They should be able to help you with that. I'm looking forward to it. They announced they had a special Power Hour on Saturday, the November 30th, and talked about the event. Eddie Fury and General Manager John Clay's competitor cards will be banned from the tournament. You will not be able to play either of those two. I'm still planning on going. I've already paid my registration fee. Looking forward to it. I believe that same weekend, I want to say the 15th, there's going to be a Texas Super Show event. I didn't cover the last Texas Super Show event. That was last weekend. It was a good event. From what I know, that was the one I mentioned earlier that Robert the Brain Dunn won the Texahoma Championship. From what I saw, there were a lot of players from Oklahoma from WCCW came down. Scott Prime, the Mistress of Mayhem, J.K. Brawlin came down. They had a featured tag match on the card. I didn't have this result, but Beatstick Brandon won the number 1 LFF Trios tournament that RCW was putting on at Game King last weekend. He used Newman's Henchman to win that tournament. So congratulations to him for doing that. I look forward to seeing when that championship match is. We're less than a week away from PAX Unplugged. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens at PAX Unplugged. Expect a lot of positive things to come out of that. But I think that's going to be it for our show this weekend. I will be watching PAX Unplugged and the award show from afar, and we'll talk about it on next Sunday's show. But I believe that's going to be it. I'm going to read off the list. We have one update for the list, and then that will be it. We will begin, as always, with my lone local promotion, Buckeye Championship Wrestling. We normally play Saturdays at 6 p.m. at the Guard Tower in Columbus, Ohio. This weekend, we will not be playing because we will be at the Impact Show, the Joint Impact Wrestling Revolver Show. Wrestling Revolver, for those of you who don't know, is sponsored by SRG Universe, so there will be a demo table being run at the Impact Show prior to the show taking place. That's the plan. It's going to be Saturday night. We're going to be at the Impact Show in Dayton, Ohio, at the Brightside Music Venue. If you're listening to this and you're in the Columbus area and you're looking to go out to an Impact show, we'll be there. To our North, Rust Belt Wrestling of America plays in Recess Games in North Homestead Monday nights at 6 p.m. LFF Tri-State plays at a store on Fire and Dice in Moonbrook, New York, Thursdays at 7 p.m. City of Champions Wrestling plays at Titan Game Shop in Hopewell, Pennsylvania. They're usually playing Saturday or Sunday around noon. Again, in 2 weeks, they'll be doing their Creative Competitor Tournament. Same location on a Saturday. True American Heroes, as far as I know, still plays at Frontline Games in Clarksville, Saturdays at 6. Here's our new update for folks. Florida Cardboard Wrestling. They're still playing at House Rules Games on Kiss Me Florida, but they have a regular date and time now. Sundays at 6:30 p.m. is when you can check out Florida Cardboard Wrestling. New Order Wrestling in Westland, Michigan plays at Pandemonium. Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. You also have Destiny Games in Westland, Michigan plays Wednesdays at 6:30. And the Skull Group plays at a Fanfare Comics in Kalamazoo, Michigan, the second and fourth Sunday of every month from 12 to 2 p.m. Out west, the home of Eddie Fury, Sin City Wrestling plays at Atomic Trading in Las Vegas, Nevada, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Wizards Card Championship Wrestling, just part of that big Texas-Oklahoma tournament, plays at Wizards Asylum Comics and Games in Norman, Oklahoma. They usually get together around once a month or so. I check with them from time to time. Revolutionary Championship Wrestling plays at 3 locations. New England Comics in New Bedford, Mass. Wednesdays from 3 to 6 and Saturdays from 11 to 4. Tabletop Games in Westport, Mass. Tuesdays from 3:30 to 6. And Game King in Fall River, Mass. Usually Sunday evenings. Island Life Wrestling hosts games at East End Gaming in Oakdale, New York, Wednesdays and Fridays. Outpost Wrestling hosts games at Outpost Games in Glendale, Arizona, Saturdays from 11 to 2. Maple People Wrestling, the home of the true survivor, Anthony Medvez, hosts games at Highlander Games in Boonton, New Jersey. There are 2 locations of the Alternate Universes stores that hold games. There's the AU Blueville location in East Norriton, Pennsylvania, and the AU Holmes location in Holmes, Pennsylvania. The Holmes host games Sundays at noon. I don't have a date or time for East Norriton. And finally, Asylum Championship Kart Wrestling hosts games at 2 locations every Monday night from 7 to 10. They're playing at Heroic Gaming in Roswell, Georgia. And the last Saturday of every month, you can find them at Gigabytes Cafe in Marietta, Georgia at noon. That is the list of playgroups. If you'd like to be at the list of playgroups, if you'd like to ask a question, give feedback, anything like that, reach out to me directly through Facebook Messenger. You can email the show. We're at outlawmudcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a direct message on Twitter. We are at Outlaw Mudcast on Twitter. Folks, I think that'll be it for today's episode. Thank you for listening, and good day.